All right, this is part two of the video series on handling your car accident case without a lawyer, without going to court. The first video I talked a little more about why you would need a lawyer and some things to avoid. This video, I'm going to be talking about the crash, and immediately after, I'm going to be talking about evidence collection. I'm going to be talking about dealing with the police, the ER and urgent care, the initial insurance contact. Just as a reminder, it's a disclaimer. I'm not giving legal advice here. This is a general guide for people who want to handle their own car accident case without a lawyer. By watching these videos, you don't become a client of mine. I practice in California, so this is really mostly about California or how things are done in California. Also, it's 2020. Laws change every year, so you really need to be careful, research things. And just to recap also, my name's Jonathan Howell. I'm an attorney, been practicing over 10 years, handling injury cases, and especially car accidents, but all sorts of injury cases. After the car crash, the first thing you want to do, if you're able to, is get the evidence. That includes photographs. Photograph your car, photograph the other person's car, photograph any damage to the street, or if there was property damage, or other things like broken taillight stuff, skid marks on the street, stuff like that. You want to photograph as much as you can. And don't just take like 2 photographs of a car. Take the front, the back, the sides, take it from a distance, get license plates into the photo. Take as many photos as you can, because the worst thing you could do is just maybe take 2 photographs and then you're going to wish you had taken more photographs later. I also recommend you take a photograph of the other person's insurance, take a photograph of their driver's license, take photographs of everything you can that they give you so that you can track that person down later. If there are any witnesses to the scene, you want to get that person's contact information. And if necessary, you can get a statement from them later. You want to get email, phone number, name, whatever you can, because there may be a dispute later about who is at fault, and a witness can really help. And witness statements later on, if you actually do want to get a witness statement, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just tell them that you'd like to record them, and then record them and interview them about what they saw, and ask them straight up, who do you think was at fault or what happened, and just record that. Physical evidence, that includes like if there was broken damage, you want to collect some of that. Like if you had something broken inside the car, like a broken laptop, or you saw that something else inside the car, you want to make sure you collect all physical damage. If you were on a bike, for example, you want to save the bike. Don't throw anything away. Any emails, text messages, if the defendant starts emailing you, or if even an insurance or somebody else starts emailing, save all those emails. Save all the text messages you have with witnesses and the other side, because you might need that later. And then medical treatment. The reason that's in there is because later on you're gonna need to keep track of medical bills that you get, things you get in the mail from medical providers, stuff from the ambulance company, whatever it is, you're gonna need that, and that's what evidence collection is all about. The police, if they come to the scene, sometimes they won't come to the scene, and the reason they won't come to the scene is if they feel it's a minor impact or people weren't hurt. If you call them up and they ask you, was anybody hurt, and you say no, they might not come to the scene, just tell you to collect the information on your own. When they do come to the scene, oftentimes they'll interview people, they'll try to get their driver's license information, and they'll start doing their investigation to prepare a traffic collision report. Sometimes they take photos, sometimes they don't take photos. Sometimes they get statements, and sometimes they don't get statements. Sometimes they show up and decide they don't need to do a report after all. Ultimately, you should know that you should not rely on the police to do the investigation for you. They might not. They might do a good job, they might do a bad job. You still should go take all the photographs that you need to take. You should still talk to everybody, collect witnesses, get driver's license information for the person that hit you. Do everything you can to protect yourself. They can be helpful if they do show up. Sometimes they may not They may have an agenda or something against you, or they just feel that you're at fault, and it might not actually be helpful for you. After they do the traffic collision report, they still find you at fault. So that's another good reason for you to do your own investigation, take your own photos, etc. Emergency treatment. So after the crash, if you're in pain, you should definitely get treatment. You don't necessarily need to go to an emergency room at a big hospital where they'll make you wait around in a lobby for hours because there's other people more seriously hurt than you. You can go to like an urgent care, a local urgent care, where they'll examine you and take X-rays and make sure nothing's broken or that you need a higher level of care. I usually recommend for most people to go to an urgent care unless you do really have an emergency condition like a broken bone, or bleeding, or something along those lines. An ambulance, whether you should take an ambulance or not. If you're in extreme pain or you can't drive or you're disoriented, yeah, take an ambulance. It makes sense. An ambulance is, they're expensive, but it's recoverable cost in the case. If you can get by or have someone pick you up to take you to an urgent care, then do that, and maybe you don't need an ambulance. The key, or one of the most important things, is to go to the doctor if you're in pain right away, the same day. You don't want too much time to go by, because if too much time goes by, then the defense insurance company and the defendant will argue that you're probably not that hurt, or maybe not hurt at all, and you're making stuff up, because if you were really hurt, you would have gotten medical treatment the same day. Some people try to go to their primary care physician or try to call their doctor, and then they have to wait a month or weeks in order to get an appointment. I think you could still make that appointment, but go to an urgent care. The reason I like the urgent care is that oftentimes you can get in there quickly, get examined quickly, get those x-rays, and start having someone, a real medical professional, take a look at you and make sure you're okay. I also prefer doing that, having an urgent care examine you right away, as opposed to just going to a chiropractor right away, because, like I said, the urgent care is oftentimes you're being seen by a medical doctor. And I think that juries and insurance companies want to see that first before you start seeing the chiropractor, because the chiropractor provides a very specific type of treatment. And I think the urgent care tends to be better for that first visit. Okay, so that's what to do right at the crash. This is again part 2 of this video series on handling the case on your own without a lawyer, without going to court. If you have any questions, just visit my website. You can call us from there, or book an appointment, or set up a consultation.